BradleyQuick.com.
All righty, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm Bradley Quick. You're listening to Cool Change Radio on CoolChangeRadio.com, Facebook at BradleyQuick.com. As you know, you catch our live and video recorded shows on Cool Change Radio and over 700 hours of my best audio interviews, your favorite topics and personalities at BradleyQuick.com. We also got a great channel on YouTube. It's called Cool Change Radio. We've got about 471,000 views in about 90 days. I'm so very grateful. Go subscribe right now. Get the latest shows sent to you every day, that you get a show every single day. All right, this is the Quick Fix, broadcasting live from Freddie Siegel Studios, your home for self-improvement and a place for positive life enhancement. This is the time that we, every Monday, we have our Empowerment Coaching for Parents segment, How to Raise Drug-Free Kids, brought to you by Susan Blauner, Director of Operations for the Saving Lives Drug and Alcohol Coalition. Susan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bradley.
So good to have you.
Thank you.
So good to have you.
So good to be
So
here.
we're talking about hallucinogens.
This week we're talking about hallucinogens.
I used to love hallucinogens. But you got some people that really blew their mind with some hallucinogens, right?
Yes, unfortunately, I'll tell a story about a friend of mine back in high school. It's a very, very long time ago, and we were in the 12th grade. Both of us were in the senior chorale. We were A students at the top of our game, planning to go to college, getting ready for our lives ahead of us. Went to a very nice high school. We had a lot of good teachers who were behind us. And, you know, making plans for the future. When my friend, we were sitting at the lunchroom table, and she got up to go speak to another group of kids across the lunchroom, and she had a can of Coke in her hand, an open can of Coke. And she went over to speak to some friends, and I turned around, was speaking to my friends. All of a sudden, we heard screams coming from the other end of the cafeteria, and we looked down, and she was on the floor writhing and just eyes rolling back, and it was just very, very frightening. They had to call paramedics, obviously, and rush her to the hospital. And what turned out is someone thought it was a joke or something cute to do. They dropped acid because in those days that was the big one, which is a hallucinogen that's still around.
She wasn't a regular acid head.
Oh, no, she didn't do drugs of any kind. She and I were good friends. Anyway, it did tremendous damage to her brain. She never ended up going to college the next year, and she was hospitalized, and I was, saw her parents, and I saw everything that they went through, and it was just, that's seeing someone who got an LSD drop who was not trying to take LSD. That was, totally, and she had a very, very, what they call a bad trip, and it did a lot of damage. So I'm here today to talk to parents about hallucinogens. They are still out there, PCP, all sorts of things out there that are can be affecting your youth, whether they are wanting to take these things or not, peer pressure, or whether they inadvertently get a hold of some of these things. PCP is always in the news with some kind of crazy things. So it affects the brain. Let's go through this. It affects the brain. It affects the heart. It affects you emotionally. It affects your self-control. And you're dealing with a lot of things happening at one time to your body, and there's many cases where police have a hard time holding down one man because they think they have the strength of like 20 men because they're on PCP. So those are the issues that we want to discuss, that parents should be aware in the texting, like we've discussed in the past, in the cell phones, in the messaging, what they're looking at on the internet, so forth and so on, that has anything to do with these kinds of hallucinatory drugs.
Wow, this is scary, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I did PCP, when I did it as a child, I felt like I was about 2 inches high. I always cried. I just cried. It was just painful.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, like an opposite effect. There's paranoia that can come from this, delusions. They have also found that there is permanent speech defects that
That's
happen
it.
after
That's why I have such a hard time talking. We figured it out now, Susan. Thank you.
Oh no. You're good, and the fact that you allow this forum for me to come on a weekly basis to talk directly to parents, I hope that what I'm saying. I know we're getting a lot of viewers. We're getting a lot of people contacting us now who are saying thank you for doing this forum and for bringing this to the attention, because there are many parents who are totally unaware of all the ramifications of all the drugs we've spoken about and will continue to speak about in the future.
So where do I know the answer to this question is drug dealers, but where does most of these hallucinogens emanate from? Is it the magic mushrooms? Is it the peyote buttons, or what is it?
All those and everything inclusive. I mean, we've even discussed bath salts in the past. There's just so many different things that kids can get into. And on top of the fact, parents have to remember that it's not just a one-time thing or a one issue, because they're doing, we have discussed, they do the energy drinks, then they do alcohol, and then they're doing some of these hallucinatory things. And then in another time we'll discuss inhalants that they're getting into, all sorts of things that we have to be vigilant upon.
Now, we talked about marijuana. We've done shows about marijuana and how really potent it is compared to what it was.
Right. 27% stronger. The THC factor is 27% stronger.
That's huge. That's not just 27%. That's probably multiplied each time.
Multiplied.
Yeah.
People
Compounded,
who have tried marijuana in, like, say, from 20 years ago and have had usage now say there's absolutely no comparison in the marijuana.
Is it like that with the chemical hallucinogens, the LSD and stuff like that? Is it?
You have to remember, we're not talking about an aspirin here that's under FDA,
Right.
and under these are all sorts of drugs that are being put together these chemicals are put together in labs that are underground labs where.
Yeah, but it's not a lab. It's maybe
Not labs, dirty infested garages. Or I'm not using the word labs. Right.
Just I don't want them to think of this pristine, clean place.
Right?
No,
nothing like that. We're talking about backyard
bathtubs
garages,
in
bathtubs,
vacant houses. Yeah,
exactly. And these quote places where they're putting these drugs together. There's absolutely no controls, and the whole point of it is to get these kids hooked. The more we get hooked, the more money we make. And unfortunately, our teens are the beneficiaries of these very destructive forces in their lives.
Now, give me some of the nicknames of these drugs.
Well, we have things like, let's see, I know they're called shrooms, and they're called...
You got angel dust here,
killer weed,
whack, rocket fuel, supergrass, ozone, acid, of course, tab, California sunshine, electric Kool-Aid, getting high on hallucinogens and other things it's called tripping. Of course we were tripping. What you doing? We'd be tripping.
They're tripping.
Yeah, tripping.
Yeah, but unfortunately we're talking about severe damage from these tripping because, as I said, my friend didn't come out of that.
And that isn't a standard case, but it happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
It happens all the
time.
time.
It happens all the time. And so we are dealing, we're looking at the broad picture, and the broad picture is we're trying to empower parents to know what these things are. They don't have to go home and think their kid is doing every one of these kinds of a thing. But if they are aware of it, they can discuss it. Then when they see things on the media, talk to their kids about, well, what do you think about this? And I've heard about this. Sit around the dinner table and say, well, how do you feel about this? Have you heard any of your friends getting involved in any of this? Parents have to pick up the cues, but in a subtle way so that their kids know, oh, my parents are watching, they're listening, but also opening the communication and the doorway so parents can explain to them what the ramifications are, how their lives will be, and the damages that they could have. Some of them permanent damage, some die. Some kids, end up dead from all of this, and if not, just very majorly brain damaged, and have better home lives and communication.
But that's the whole idea. What you're trying to convey in all these messages is
healthy
a better
families.
home life, a healthy family, giving a kid a chance to live and have a real life.
That's it. That's
and
right.
It's all about the importance of being a parent again. Once you're a parent, you're second class, aren't you?
Well, I wouldn't call it second class.
Come on, you're not. You shouldn't be the prominent focus of your attention any longer.
If you're bringing children into the world, I know there's many parents out there, hardworking parents who find it necessary to, be in the working world at all. To both parents, some of them are in the working world. we're not trying to punish parents in that way. What we're trying to say is, parents, when you are with your kids, communicate with them. Make sure you have controls in place in a loving, warm environment where your children are comfortable to come to you. I can tell you this, that all my kids' friends all came to my house because we had an open dialogue going even with the friends, and they felt comfortable enough to even share things with me that they were not sharing with their parents, but I would have them make sure that they got back to their parents and open a door of communication.
That's great. So it's all about communication, isn't it?
Communication. That's what we're here for.
I don't know if we have time to answer this, but what is the biggest factor in good or bad communication with kids?
Negative communication will mean that your children will never come to you and tell you what's really going on. And sometimes they're only considering or thinking or want to ask the question. You need to be there with the answers. Go to our website, www.savinglivescoalition.org. Get the answers. Go on the internet, get more answers and more information for parents on how to discuss all these drugs, alcohol, caffeinated drinks, inhalants, hallucinogens, everything with your kids, and be in an open way, and that you're inviting their questions and give them responsible answers.
Be a disciplinarian, but also be a friend, huh?
A friend.
And let them know it's only in their best interest that you actively do.
Right, and give them the answers on how they can refute when peer pressure comes up to them.
Let's refute. I refute this.
Give our kids the power.
Susan, thank you very much. You're great. You're great.
Thank you.
This is great. We'll see you next week, okay?
Okay.
This has been fantastic. She is so cool. She is so great. Again, I'd like to give great big thanks to Fred Siegel and our friends from around the globe for supporting our charity, the Cool Change Foundation. You too can help the foundation, help the mom, dads, and kids in your community, and you can do that right now. Simply send your donation of love and support directly to the foundation at thecoolchangefoundation.org. thecoolchangefoundation.org. We need your help. Help us out. The kids need it too. All right, I'd like to give a great big thanks to the people that make this show happen. Our fantastic engineers, Rob Gainey, author of Rockin' Your Stage Sound, available in bookstores now. Our fitness expert, Paul Madonna, will be back with us again tomorrow. I'd like to thank our assistant producer, Taylor Hoskins. The show is produced by Bradley Quick Productions. It's been made possible by Fred Siegel, YouTube, Google, Buzzbros, the Salvation Army, Universal Studios, Milestones Ranch, Malibu, Tim Allen, Marilyn Toth, and many others, including the Cool Change Foundation. Remember, it's time for a cool change with the Cool Change Foundation. Now, are you communicating with your kids? Are they your friend? Are you a disciplinarian? Let them know how it is. Negative communication is not the answer. Always be positive. Always be upbeat. Always be loving. All right? See you tomorrow.